If you've ever had a relapse and you thought, oh, man, like I'm never gonna beat this, or what's wrong with me? I've ruined everything, right? I'm broken. I'm a piece of crap. Um, This is always gonna be in my life. You have that sinking feeling, that gut feeling, right after you PMO, right? That post-nut clarity. It's not really it's post-nut shame, right? Like you just feel awful. And odds are this might be the 100,000th time this has happened, right? So if this is how you felt, this episode's for you. So stick around. Hey everybody, welcome to the Inner Revolution. My name is Enoch Fossum, and today we're going to talk about something we've talked about before, and I don't think we talk about it enough, and so I'll be talking about it more often. But it's the analogy of the second arrow that comes from Buddhism, which is really cool, and I love it. Before we jump into that, if you are looking for a therapist or a coach to help you overcome pornography addiction and put it behind you for the rest of your life, then you can go ahead and schedule a free consultation with me in the link down below in the description. And we can see if we're a vibe. We can see if we're a good fit. The best predictor of therapy and coaching is this relationship that we have right here. And so if we don't have a good relationship, then therapy, coaching might not be the best. We might not be a great fit, and that's okay. But if we are a good fit, then we can go places. So again, you can schedule a free consultation with me in the link down below. All right, so this episode's probably not going to be very long. We've talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about it more often, I think, in the future, because it is so relevant to addiction, to pornography addiction, to really any addiction, and just life. Like really, just life. You can learn a lot from this analogy. So let's talk about what that actually is. First, you have two arrows. The first arrow represents pain. Okay, and this is just the pain that we all experience, the pain that comes with life. It just is. It's there, right? So you take porn addiction, for example. You take having a slip. Okay, you relapse. That's painful. I mean, I hope it's not painful when you like have an orgasm, when you ejaculate. If it is, you're probably gonna get that checked out. But you have emotional pain, right? You feel like, oh man, like again, really, like what's going on? And it hurts. That initial feeling of guilt. Or you take some everyday life things, right? Like getting rejected, failing a goal, feeling lonely, experiencing temptation, or having a relapse. All of those cause pain, and that's unavoidable. And so if we're trying to go about life trying to avoid those things, you're just going about it the wrong way. You're going to be disappointed and you're going to fail every time. That's the first arrow. The second arrow is the suffering that we create from our pain, or rather it's the reaction that we have from the initial event that caused us the pain. And so when you slip up, you have a feeling of guilt. Okay, you don't feel good about it, all those things. Now, the second arrow hits when you have shame, and you start to bring in things like, I'm broken, I'm never going to be good enough, I'm a terrible father, I'm a horrible husband. This is where shame just starts to spiral, right? You just start going down, and it's really hard to recover from that. Or this is where self-hatred comes in. Okay, right? You start saying all those self-hateful things. This is where you might feel like recovery is just not for you, and you're just going to give up, right? It's too hard at this point, so why even try? Or this is where you might find yourself binging after a relapse as well, because you might think, well, I already messed up, right? And that's part of that shame spiral. You just keep going down. It's like, I already messed up, so I might as well just start tomorrow, and you go on a little binging spree. Most relapses don't destroy recovery. Shame does. The second arrow does. So the important thing about this whole analogy is how you react to your mistakes, to your relapses, to your slips matter. And this could be the very thing that's keeping you stuck to begin with, right? You're stuck in that shame cycle where you feel bad. In order to feel better, you PMO, and then you have that post-nut shame, and so you feel bad, and you think, well, screw it, whatever. I'm not going to recover. I'm a piece of crap. This is never going to change, so I might as well keep going. And so you find yourself in a binging pattern for a couple days, even a couple weeks. It's hard for you to stop to not PMO every day, right? Then you feel bad about yourself. Then you try and stop, and then you get thinking, oh man, my life's never going to be the same. I'm a total failure. And then you just get stuck in the cycle. So that right there, that's the second arrow. It's not the first. The first is the pain that comes from struggling, that comes from slipping, that comes from the initial relapse. Like, man, that hurts, right? Because it probably goes against your values as a person. This is not something that your ideal version of yourself would do. And that's the pain that hurts. That's the first arrow. That second arrow is where most people tend to get stuck, and where most people can't seem to break away from in recovery, is they keep getting hit by the second arrow, and that is totally avoidable. You can avoid it. So with that being said, what are ways that you can actually avoid the second arrow? If the first one's unavoidable, what can we do to now avoid the second? So a couple of things. You want to look at having a slip, okay? Also, the difference between a slip and a relapse. A slip is when you PMO, okay? So you slip, you relapse. Well, my heavens. Okay, you slip, okay? A slip is when you PMO and you tell somebody within 24 hours. A relapse is when you slip and you don't tell anybody, at least for or within that 24-hour window. Does that make sense? So in recovery, slips, we want slips, we don't want relapses. Does that make sense? We always want to be telling someone as soon as it happens. So anyway, I digress. So you want to look at a slip or even a relapse not as failure, but as feedback. Remember how we talk about the upward trajectory graph, right? It's trending upwards, but you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. When you do have a slip, you can view that as a down point in your graph, but that's exactly what it is. It's a little point. It's a little data point. Boop. And look at it as feedback. So you want to ask things like, like what led to this? How did I get to this point today? Or what were the warning signs that I saw? What needs to change? Most people, when you have a slip, you get hit with the first arrow, that pain, and then without even just like slowing down, taking a deep breath, taking a step back, we'll talk about in a sec, just immediately go right into the second arrow. Like, you freaking idiot. You're a failure, total loser. You're never going to get any better. And we don't take time to think and to really take feedback from the slip. So pain can be instructional. You can learn from this first arrow, so then you don't get hit from the second. So a couple more things, a couple steps you can do to avoid suffering, okay, to avoid that second arrow, is to pause after a slip. Don't spiral. Don't freak out, dude. Relax. Take a deep breath. And think, okay, like that was the first arrow, right? This hurts. I feel guilt. I'm starting to feel shame. Like, okay, take a deep breath. You don't have to get hit by the second. What can I learn from this? And ask those questions, right? What led to this? What were some of the warning signs? What needs to change? The second thing you want to do is to remove judgment language. So you want to avoid things like, I'm weak, I'm broken, I'm a piece of crap, right? You want to avoid all of that and replace it with, what happened here? What can I learn? You want to be curious about this. You want to pretend that you are this scientist in a lab discovering something new for the first time that you've never seen before, and look at it in a way to where you can take out all judgment from it, right? Not saying, if you're a scientist looking like a little vial of liquid, right? You stupid vial. You're such a failure. Your mom didn't love you. right? You want to look at it like, okay, like this is interesting. I've never like, what's it made out of? What is it? I have no idea. You want to look at your experiences just like that. And you want to analyze all of this without attacking yourself. Remember, what you do is not a part of who you are inherently as a person. You're a human being, not a human doing. What you do doesn't affect your worth as a person. And so when you start attacking yourself, you are saying, okay, what I did means I am now a lesser person. And that's not true. You are still enough. Your worth is still 100%. None of that has changed. Now, of course, this behavior is not something that we want in our life, and that's okay. That's something that we're going to work on and try and get rid of. But that doesn't, again, change who you are. So analyze all of this without attacking yourself. You want to think, like, what time was it? Right? What emotion was I feeling? What environment was I in? And what decisions actually opened that door? You want to make it clinical, make it scientific, right? Like you're this little scientist, not an emotional thing, okay? So analyze it like you would a scientist. Well, I guess you're not analyzing the scientist. Analyze it like a scientist would. There you go. Then after that, you just want to take corrective action, which you'll go to your values board, okay? You have your top 10, top 5 values listed there. You can look at your values as the Jedi Council. You walk into the Jedi Council and say, hey guys, so this is what happened. What should I do now? Like what should I do? And let's say your value of connection is Master Yoda, okay? Well, what you must do, young one, is connect with family. Yes. Sign me up, man. If there's any Yoda shows coming out, I'll play him. I'll be him. Okay? So anyone watching who's gonna direct that show, let me know when you're ready for Yoda. But you get the idea. Okay, you want to start to take action. After you learn from things, if you don't do anything different or if you don't learn from it, then what's the point? You're just going to stay in that cycle and nothing's really going to change. So you want to go to your values board, you go to the Jedi Council and say, Masters, this is what I did and I want to try and avoid it in the future, and I want my life to be in congruence with my values. What can I do? What would your values say? Or what would the ideal version of yourself say or do in any given situation? You want to focus on action, not shame. So this week, next time you have a slip, okay, or when you PMO, or really any other time in life, if you're in a point in your recovery where you don't PMO that often, when something causes you pain, I want you to pause and think and say, okay, is this the first arrow that I'm feeling, or is this the second? Am I feeling pain or am I suffering? And remember, your pain is unavoidable. That's a part of life, and it's okay to feel that. But suffering is avoidable, and you have control over that. And so try and be more aware of the second arrow in your life, and I promise you, dude, holy crud, the recovery process is going to totally change for you when you realize it's the second arrow that is making your life so difficult, and that's actually in your control. Yes, along the way of recovery, you're going to PMO, you're going to have slips, you're going to have relapses, and that's okay. That's all pain, and you can avoid the suffering in all of that by just slowing down and trying to learn from that first arrow. And dude, once you get that, your recovery is going to change. It may not be any quicker. It still will be painful, but you will suffer less. You guys, thanks so much for listening. I don't know how long this episode is, so we'll see. But if you made it this far, please like and subscribe if you're not already. If you know somebody who could benefit from this, then go ahead and share it with them. And if there are any other topics or things you want me to talk about, then put those in the comments as well. Okay? Peace, love, and life. You guys rock. Talk to you next week.